Hey everyone, Jessica Morrison, realtor with Veris Property Group in Indianapolis, Indiana, back again for another Indie Home Interviews series. This time we're talking to Fischer Homes with Chatham Brook at Chatham Hills in Westfield. And we have Mike Kinney with us. Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You are a brave individual for participating in this series. Now, we've done a previous interview with Nate Hollander, who has since found a different position at Fischer, from my understanding. But we did do an interview previously talking about the intro of the neighborhood. Let's get a recap on what is going on in your community. Maybe for those who haven't seen that previous interview, what makes you guys special there, and just what do those amenities include?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, Nate's a good friend of mine, and now he's working with land acquisition, and so Chatham is just an incredible community, and we've got some really exciting days ahead here in Chatham. We've got new lots that we're opening up, about 70 lots that are still left, and we really went through the lots very quickly when Nate was here. So we have, what's unique about the community is we have three collections of homes. We have Grand Estates, we have Masterpiece, and we have Designer Collection. Chatham Brook is part of Chatham Hills, so the HOA is is part of the deal, and so we can talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, it's exciting. We're about to open these lots. We'll back up to pond lots or like trees with open space behind it. And the thing that's unique about Chatham, it's a niche community because you've got people that want the clubhouse and they want all the amenities, and the indoor outdoor pool with the swim up bar, and the bowling alley, and the golf membership and things like that. And you can't get into Chatham Hills, last time I checked, for under like 1.3 million. And Fischer Homes allows people to build in that 600 to million range. And so great investment as well for people. And again, my role, Nate's role used to be this, but my role is to help people find a floor plan that's going to work best for them, narrow down to one or two plans, find the home site that's going to work best for them. And then tell you what, these days it's about helping them get signed up, because there's so much demand, especially for Chatham, that hopefully I could share something with them that would help them, get signed up sooner than other people, because you can't build the same plan to the left or right or across the street, and you can't have the same exterior look for the two homes catty corner. So it just becomes a little bit challenging, but that's what I'm here to help with.
Sure. So let's kind of address how you guys handle your process. Being a larger builder, in this crazy real estate market where builders are working very diligently to meet demands of the consumer while experiencing some challenging supply challenges or issues, how are you allowing people, especially at that price point, to make customizations, and to what extent are people able to customize?
Good question. So that's one of my favorite things about Fischer Homes, is that we're stick built, and we're a semi-custom builder. So since this is being recorded, and if this ever got back to a Fischer Homes representative above me, they would want me to say we are semi-custom. But I will say that we can move walls, where other builders can't. If we need to, move, I don't know, if we have a master on the main level and somebody wants a sitting room off the back of the house, I can add 8 feet to the back of the house. Whereas normally with any other builder that's production builder, the answer is going to be no, because it's either prefab walls, or even if they're stick built, they might say, no, that's a little bit too far out of our comfort range. We're a family owned business. We have an architecture team that will take those challenges in stride. And in terms of your question about just how are we handling the current market, it's very real. Like windows are, have been a challenge, or garage doors at different parts, or toilets, things that you can't even get on Amazon, right? So it's setting expectations. I mean, it's all about the process is, and how good of a experience the building experience is about, every step of the process is important, from meeting myself to the design center to your superintendent, and the expectations that are set up front, which, yeah, I can tell you more about the expectations that we do set. And it's changed over, I've been here 6.5 years. It's changed over the last 2 years. But again, I would rather set the right expectations so that people can trust me and have a better experience and know what they're getting and what they're signing up for.
Excuse me. Sure. So let's kind of have you share your screen and maybe clarify. I managed to accidentally hit the mute button. Sorry.
Okay.
Perhaps we should share your screen and talk a little bit about the different collections that you have, because all of those sound really beautiful. And sometimes it's hard to visualize maybe what makes those different. And then
Sure.
also maybe clarify the extent of those customizations between the different collections that are offered, because I would imagine that's different with those price points.
Absolutely. So we have let me let me share my screen with you. We do have our designer collection, our masterpiece collection, and our Grand Estates collection. And this is, actually, I want to show you Chatham Hills. So I'm going to switch to a different screen. There we go. All right. So here's Chatham Hills. And we have the green section up at the top. Let me see if I can blow this up. Can you see that okay? Can you see my arrow? Okay. Okay. So green homes here are Grand Estates. And then the yellow homes are the masterpiece, or yellow orange, and the blue homes are the designer. So far we've built out this section of the community, and we're going to be opening the homes that are underneath this line right here. We'll do this section first of designer and this of masterpiece. Now, so collection level, designer would be the most affordable, masterpiece. Well, let me put it like this. Designer is most affordable, but doesn't allow for as much customization. We give you more options, standard options to the floor plan that you can change in and out. Masterpiece is base prices are a little bit more expensive, but the options cost less, but we do allow for customization. So special pricing means anything that's outside of the architectural drawings, and it costs $1,000. There's $1,000 architectural fee to go outside the drawings, but you get up to 5 items for that $1,000. So I recently had somebody, this is unusual, but I had somebody that did 25 items. So they did a $5,000 fee and they did 25 customizations to their house. That was at the Grand Estates level. Typically in a masterpiece, I don't see that people doing more than 5 to 10 customizations, if any, because sometimes the floor plan works great. You don't have to change anything, but it's just great as you go through a house, you're like, oh, I love that, but I wish if he could only have this. And that's what we're able to do at the masterpiece level or Grand Estates level. Right now, we actually don't have any Grand Estates home sites available, and probably won't for the next year, I would say. So for today's purposes, I would say let's focus on designer and masterpiece. I mean, we will have Grand Estates that comes later. And the difference is at Grand Estates, the base prices are even higher. And again, the options don't cost as much. There's more included in the base price of the home. The exterior look of the home, that's important to us at designer, masterpiece, or Grand Estates, but you'll get more masonry and stone on the home as you move up in collection levels.
That makes sense. So can you do, just because I think other people might have followed, I just want to make sure that we're clear. If you had to rate 1, 2, 3 in terms of the expense associated with the different colors that we're looking at, masterpiece, designer, grand, I think it's end of day and I'm struggling, but
yeah, no, it's okay. Yes, no, I can totally do that. And again, Fischer probably, I don't know if they love me sharing it like this, but this is how I share it with everybody else. So I'm going to share it this way anyway. I don't talk in terms of base prices, because the base prices people see online are just the starting point, and then you're going to put options in. So I
Right.
typically talk in terms of where do people typically end up? What's the range that people typically end up once they put in options that most people want in the house? And so in this community, again, we've been in this market's just been crazy, right? But
Mhm.
as of right now, I'm expecting the finished prices for the designer collection to be in the 600 would be the very low end. I'd say it's probably gonna be 650 to 750 with options. Whereas the masterpiece, and again, I'm including lot premium in this as well, I'm expecting those prices to be in the 750 to 950 range. Could somebody be at 700? Yes, but most people will be end up between 750 and 950, and up to $1 million if you pick the largest plan and finish your basement, kind of a thing, right? Whereas Grand Estates has been historically 900 to 1.1, and we have somebody that's been all the way up to 1.3. So that's the unusual. We don't have as many of those, but hopefully that helps give you a little idea. So I wasn't talking just base prices, I was talking base prices plus options plus lot premium.
Yeah, no, I think that's helpful. And I think it confirms and clarifies what you were just saying about you're trying to set the correct expectations with people, because I think a lot of people sometimes, if they haven't built before or have always dreamed of building, especially when you get into this price point, it's very difficult sometimes for someone who's not familiar with it to differentiate, especially online or in a model home, just the total cost that's involved, because the price that you see online that's advertised doesn't include often that lot premium or certain upgrades or finishes. So let's talk for a second about your timelines. And let's say someone walks in today and expresses an interest in working on a deal with you, Mike, where they want to build a home. What does that whole process look like, especially from timeline right now with Fischer Homes?
Yeah, so
And
what
I
we're
don't know if you
trying.
know that your screen is still sharing or if you still want
Okay,
to.
yeah, let me stop sharing. Let's see, stop share. Okay, can you see me now? Okay, thank you. Fischer Homes in the past, we typically, because we just have had so much demand, as soon as the roads go in, we're ready to start selling the plans. The only problem with that is typically you've got to get record plats from the city before you can order permits for the home. And so you're talking about 30 to 60 days from the point that roads are in before you even have record plats back. So that has extended the build timeline, quote unquote, build timeline for people historically. Whereas, 3 years ago, I would have told people total process is 7.5 to 8 months from when you move forward. Now, recently, I've been saying plan on 9 to 10 months, and it could be 11 months depending on, supply chain issues, right? What we're trying to do is go back to where we put the roads in and we don't sell them right away. We wait for 30 to 60 days to sell them, so that record plats have either come in or they're coming in really soon. So it reduces that timeline. But any way you look at it, so that would be the key, is if we go, it depends on which way we're talking about, right? If they come in and we have record plats or they're coming soon, then really it is a 7.5 to 8 month timeline from when they move forward to when they move into the house.
All provided nothing goes wrong.
Correct. And I'll say that some municipalities, Zionsville is one. I know that we talked about this just a little bit before the call, but I cover all areas for Fischer Homes, and Zionsville has historically had more issues with timeline than Westfield and Fischer's.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's just their approval process. They had a third party architect approval, and he was the only guy on the board, and he had some personal issues so for a month or 2 months it was delayed and didn't get approved. So hopefully that's not the case forever with Zionsville. It just was for 1 or 2 years.
Sure. And I've seen other municipalities drag their feet, and I think it's not always a straight answer. It's
Yeah.
the market that we're in as a whole, not specific to real estate, but just the general economy is, I feel like a start, stop type
Right.
motion. So,
Absolutely.
what, like, going back to the lots that you had, and you don't necessarily have to pull up the map, but obviously inventory is one of our biggest challenges right now. And as consumers look at potentially buying and building in this community, how many lots do you have? I think you mentioned this before, but sometimes when people say, like, if they have 70 lots, they might not all be released at a particular time. So how many lots are available for someone to connect with you today and build on? And then how many others could be coming down the pipeline?
Absolutely. Great question. So I'm going to reshare the screen here. So we're going to release this new section. I walked it today, and roads are supposed to go in 1st of July. And then it will likely be an end of July or early August release of the lots. And so they're going to release, probably these lots will be designer, and they'll release those 1 week. And then the next week or a few days later, they're going to release the masterpiece lots. So there's 16 masterpiece lots here, and there's about the same for designer. Let's see, 4, 8, 12. So 12 lots for designer. And then these sections here will come in the future. And sometimes that's a challenge because people see the whole community and they say, oh, I really like the lots down there, or I want to be on the pond down there. And so they're like, well, maybe we could wait. But historically, we have continued to see the prices go up. Now, as you know, we've been at like 20% inflation, and I think we're back down to 8, and I'm hearing it could drop to 6. I mean, I don't know, right? We don't know where the inflation is going to go, but from everything I've read, it's still going to continue to go up, even if it's only at 3% inflation. And so over time, that means people that, even if they save $25,000 more for the year, right, it ends up being a, thing where the payment was the same or more. So we talk, that's part of the process. I show them, okay, what's the cost? Is there a cost of waiting or not? And then I show them, what's this section going to be like? What's this section going to be like? And then, like I said, the sign up process, Jessica, is no joke right now. I mean, it's like, it's hard because we'll open it up at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and it's first click, first serve kind of a thing. And you get your spot in line. You don't put any money down, but like, if you don't know, so for me, the reason I'm saying this is that if you have anybody that's interested in, but they just want to know more and just even see if it's a possibility, the time to do that is like now, because I need to see if there's a floor plan that works for them. I need to see if the price point works for them, if we have the lots that work for them. Right. And then that way, when the release happens, they have a chance at getting in, you know what I mean? Because there's just so much demand. It's, to give you an idea, when they release these, what they'll likely do is between every 2 sales, they'll have a $5,000 increase. And so to a customer, that just seems so overwhelming and just ridiculous. But it's actually a good thing, because you want to build value in your community as you go through it, so that hopefully you have some equity in the house when you if you ever have to resell or move down the road.
Well, and to give context for consumers who hear that, a lot of builders will cap how many homes they sell a month so that they can guarantee that they have the supply and the labor, especially to complete those builds within that time frame. So if they don't cap it, then they're making promises they can't keep. And so that price increase is to also help slow the demand. So while it can be frustrating if you're trying to operate within a certain budget, or can't move fast enough, or aren't at a timeline yet where you can accommodate that price increase. I guess that's just more of the context behind that why. So that makes sense as far as the lots that are up and coming. And I can personally say, not with Fischer Homes, but I have had several clients who, with various builders, have all found a lot that they loved. In some cases, they waited for that section to become available. in that particular situation, it was just a very unique lot and it was worth waiting for. They did feel like they ran a gamble with how much that premium was going to be. So, weigh the pros and cons if you decide to go that route. And that definitely was a question of the cost of waiting, for sure. However, that is where the power of working with us as realtors and our sales reps with builders comes in, because we are able to stay in touch with that builder representative. And if you have an interest in that lot, a lot of times those deals are sometimes even put together before, not necessarily saying before they release, but like you just build that relationship so that you get first dibs. And I don't want to be breaking any like laws around housing with that, but a lot of times I'm just affirming what Mike is saying here, that
Absolutely.
the relationships and the communication that happens a lot of times behind the scenes is what wins you your preferred lot, and that goes for any builder.
Absolutely. The happiest customers I work with come in with a realtor or have a relationship with a realtor. And I never shy away from having them be part of the process, because they bring in expertise and, communicate with the sales counselor, and they know what questions to ask, right? When sometimes, the customer is like, I don't know, and so I want to be a good representative, that if the realtor says, hey, I can't be there for this meeting, they still trust that I'm going to take good care of their people, right? But I think in terms of having a realtor involved in the process, there's no better way to have a professional agent with you that's vouching for you. And certainly they need to know new construction, because, they need to know existing homes, and they need to know new construction too, because, that's just something that
It's a different process. If you don't do it all the time, there's definitely a way to do new construction well. And there are some agents, unfortunately, who just, hey, checking in. And I'm one of those realtors, Mike, where I'm like emailing you every week, like, hey, what's the update? If I don't get it from the builder representative, or not seeing the field manager notes, because a lot of times you as a consumer will have the direct communication with the builder, which is unique in that as a buyer's agent in a traditional resale, all of the communication runs through the agent. And so sometimes, depending on who the builder is or the sales rep, I have to sometimes fight to make sure that I'm included in that communication. Whereas you as a consumer are seen as the client, and so they don't feel obligated to involve you. However, if it's a good, let's say everything is going well, I don't have to petition for those updates, because the builder has a good system of keeping everybody informed and doing proactive call check-ins. Sometimes they send photos. Everybody does it a little differently. But there are some agents and some builders where they just find each other in a transaction, and you might get a check-in every once in a while. They might drive by the house. You never really know what's going on. And that's just not, in my opinion, how it should be done. You should be, especially as a consumer, be involved in walking your property, checking out your job site, always wearing protective shoe gear, because there can be nails and things like that. And you follow the right protocols that the builder relays with you. But I could talk for a while about that. It's just, I appreciate the affirmation. And yes, it is not your typical transaction as opposed to the traditional real estate resale deal.
Right. In new construction, you need to have somebody walking with you through all steps of the process for it to be a good experience, because especially if it's your first time building, but even if it's your second or third time building, it's like having those people involved that makes for the good experience or the not good experience. You're going to catch things that you wouldn't have caught otherwise. So I'm all about it.
Yeah. So just a few minutes left here, Mike. Time went really quickly. For buyers who are considering building in this market, what are 3 tips you would give to them, especially as they're potentially weighing different builders right now?
Good question. make sure that you're working with the right realtor like yourself. You have the right representation. Make sure that you've done your homework on the builder and the quality that they are bringing to the table or not. But just check in with people that live in the community. Even I think is a good piece of advice. And then the last thing I'll say is I always stress that we allow people to have a third-party inspection at any point in the process. And certainly before drywall goes up, like your house is framed, I recommend having an independent inspection, but you can have one done at foundation, at framing, and at the end. And I recommend it. I mean, the city's doing audits, Fischer Homes is doing audits for us as a builder, but having an independent inspection, I think I would do it if I was building a home. And so, builders, it's not a perfect process. That's what you have to, that's why these setting expectations is so important. And your field superintendent is so important. And that's why I'm still at Fischer, is that they've kept great people in those spaces, right? And it's so important to the process. But with all that said, you still need to have somebody that's independent coming in and saying, yep, like everything is good, or here's some things I see. And then the realtor, you're aware of it, I'm aware of it. And it just, everybody then can feel more confident they're going to move into a home and they're going to be really happy.
I really appreciate you affirming that and advocating for the third-party inspections, because sometimes when I talk with sales reps, you can see the hesitation, or they, and I get it. Like if you work for a company, you want to vouch for the product and the quality, but it's definitely worth the investment. And sometimes I feel like, even though I can communicate that, I really think you should have a third party come out and evaluate this. Sometimes people don't really supervise well when things are getting put in. You might have an apprentice working on your job site and everybody's stretched thin. Like, it's just a good insurance policy in a way to spend the money, hope you don't need it, but if they find something, you're glad you spent the money on it. And sometimes I feel like when I tell people, hey, like this is worth doing, and maybe the builder had a really good presentation and the client feels really confident in the product, which is a good thing. And then they know, oh, the city's going to come by and evaluate it. Like, surely that's enough. Sometimes I feel like people interpret that as me just wanting them to spend more money. And especially when it's at the pre-drywall stage, like that's when everything's open and you could see if there's code that's not being properly followed, or maybe a fire hazard. I've known somebody, this was more than 10 years ago when their house was built. I wasn't a part of the process, but their tub wasn't installed properly. And so they had leaking after closing. Just things like that, guys, where that's the time to fix it if there's an issue. Another builder a couple years ago installed the AC that wasn't level. That's a big deal. So anyway,
Great.
Really good tips, Mike. If other people have questions that are watching this, what is the best way to connect with you?
They can email me or they can call me. So my email is mkinney, that's Kinney at Fischer Homes, that's Fischer, homes with an s.com, or my phone number is 317-903-0868. And sometimes the email gets backed up. So, text or a phone call is always really good too. But yeah, I'm here to help. If you have any questions, that's what I'm here for.
Wonderful. Thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to mention this video if you connect with Mike. And if you don't have a realtor, it would be a pleasure to represent you. I work all around Indianapolis and help you with buying, selling, investing, building with any builder, relocating and renting. My number is 317-679-3223. And you can find all of this information in the description of this video. Thank you so much, Mike. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.